guys. This is AC Lockyer, and this is Building a Lifestyle Business, sponsored by Softwash Systems. Try not to make this a Softwash Systems infomercial, but what we are doing is we are taking and profiling some of the companies that are here that are licensed affiliates with Softwash Systems to ask them, why in the heck did you get into cleaning? How's it going? How's it benefiting your life? How are you building your lifestyle business? And so this week I have Marty Osborn with ONS, ONS Cleaning Services, ONS Softwash. What are you calling it nowadays?
Cleaning Solutions. Yep.
Cleaning Solutions. It's hard for me to keep track of all of them. And so you're in Kansas. You're not in the biggest market in the world. You're in Manhattan, Kansas, right? Okay.
Correct.
And so, So here you are. What does I know you've told me once before, but there's other people probably asking the same question. What does ONS stand for?
Organic and Safe Cleaning Solutions.
Organic and Safe Cleaning Solutions. Okay, cool. And so, so introduce yourself, where you're at, name your company. We kind of know that stuff, but what everybody kind of wants to know when we get into these podcasts is who is this person that AC's interviewing here? What makes them tick? What is their life? We do our tribe time every week, and sometimes you're on there, and in your one office you've got some skateboards hanging up on the wall and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So tell us, who is Marty Osborn?
So Marty Osborn out of Manhattan, Kansas, owner of ONS Cleaning Solutions. I'm a proud dad of two beautiful kids. I love the outdoors. I do have skateboards, but I do not ride them anymore. Those skateboards are the skateboards I could not afford as a kid, and they're reissues. And so I had to get them. And they're just put on the wall as a reminder of what I used to be able to do.
It's just like I don't play guitar that much anymore, but every time I see a nice one, I like to buy them and stick them on the wall. So I get it.
Well, yeah, it's artwork, really. It's art.
It is. It's wonderful artwork.
So, live in the Flint Hills. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. I think most people, if they grow up in an area, they typically don't want to spend their entire life there.
Right.
They want to move, and they don't really appreciate it. I kind of was the same way with Kansas, not really appreciating the Midwest and the history behind it. But now it's, appreciating the Great Plains kind of aspect. So, yeah.
So you said the
history.
Flint Hills. Are there, my wife is from Texas, so they name all the towns in Texas names to fool people to get them to move there. And then you realize, there's a place in West Texas called Big Lake, and you move there and you realize there's no lake in Big Lake, Texas. And so are there actually Flint Hills in Flint Hills, Kansas?
Yes. So the Flint Hills is part of this area that I forget the different states that it was actually in. So I guess it would be an ecosystem, right?
Okay.
But it was supposed to go all the way up to Nebraska, down to Oklahoma. And it's unique with the topsoil, with the stone that's there. And anyway, there's a whole science behind it, and there's tons of research due to Kansas State University, the things that they research out. And we have the Konza Prairie and things like that. So so the Flint Hills, Manhattan is kind of rested in the Flint Hills.
And so you got some nice topography out there. It's not like Florida, 33 feet above sea level for the entire state. You got some interesting topography.
Yeah. So Western Kansas, a lot of times people think Kansas is just flat, and
that's we've all watched Kansas. The Wizard of Oz. Yes.
Exactly. And so that's not Manhattan. To me, it's very similar to, obviously, Colorado. You got the Rockies,
right?
But if you're kind of familiar with Ozarks and things like that, it's not the giant. It's still not mountains, but it's got the hills, and you can get up on a crest, and you just kind of have this beautiful view of just miles of the plains.
Kansas is kind of like Oklahoma. They're right stacked on top of each other. And so I remember I had a vision of Oklahoma all my life, flat plains, maybe a little bit of rolling hills, kind of oil country,
Mhm.
a lot of agriculture, a lot of farming, a lot of cattle and everything. And then I drove through Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I was like, whoa. I mean, they're not mountains, but there's like hills and
Mhm.
rocks and cool topography. And so you're kind of in that same line, north to south from Tulsa, Oklahoma. So you're getting that same kind of topography change
Yeah.
like Oklahoma has as you move east.
Yeah. So yeah, and I basically spending, you know, my 40s trying to just enjoy where I was born and research.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just finished the book American Serengeti
Okay.
by Dan Flores, and it's basically about the Great Plains, the big players of those animals were the
Mm-hmm.
bison, the elk, wild horses, grizzly. And so, yeah, when I'm not, you know, being a business owner and trying to dial things in, I, yeah, just enjoying nature, being out in it or reading about it.
Cool. And so you're of course on the little greener side of Kansas, and so you get
Mm.
a little more rain, a little more moisture, and it's green there. So that means you do have stuff to clean there, which is nice. I'm sure as you move further west, the need for cleaning probably diminishes quite a bit.
Yeah, then it's just dirt. There's just dirt on a house, which still you can clean, but yeah, not the Glowio, like yeah, with the high moisture content. Because well, Alex Todd with Twister Pro
Right.
Wash, Wichita, and even Jeremiah with Advantage. He's an hour from me, and given the years I think I've given my area, I think
Mhm.
I typically wash the most roofs. So it's just the little variance in areas. It's in the same state. So
Yeah. So you mentioned that you're trying to just enjoy your 40s, appreciating where you're from and getting to know that area and everything else. So you're in your 40s, and you mentioned that you have two beautiful children, and that you're trying to be a great dad to them. And so that's a lot of the reason why when people say, why do you do what you do, you're in this stage now where you've got kids, and they're kind of teens to preteens. I think you said your daughter is 12 or 13 years old. How old is she now?
yeah, she's 12. She's going to be 13 very soon, in November.
13 very soon. Yeah. So, oh, bless you. I will pray for you. Because girls are way harder than boys. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, yeah. And I had, and this is funny and probably a little inappropriate, but I had one of my team members that worked for me for a while. Her name was Susan, and Susan Hackworth. She might be listening to this somewhere. Was one of the best team members I ever had. Her husband Jim worked for us, and so they had a little boy named Jimmy, and so she got pregnant again. And I was like, oh, wow, this is great. You're pregnant. I was excited for her because I love kids and I especially love babies. And I'm like, are you hoping to have a little girl this time? Figured you got a little boy. She wants a little girl. She looks at me and goes, hell no. I went,
Mhm.
what? You don't want a little girl? Hell no. I'm like, why wouldn't you want a little girl? She goes, because when you got a little boy, all you have to do is worry about his little penis. When you got a little girl, you have to worry about every other little boy's penis. And I was like, perspective, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so you're kind of in a challenging period right now. And how old is your son?
He's 8.
8. I remember being 8. 8 was great for boys.
Yeah.
That's like when kids are like going out in the woods and, and like to play ball, and dad's their best friend, and yeah, it's so cool. And so you got an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, 12 getting ready to be 13. She's a girl. And so that's like your whole life almost.
Hmm. Yeah. So, and then definitely being a business owner affords me the creating my own schedule for school events. And I mean, my son's going to start playing flag football, which he's excited about.
Cool.
So, he's got the little Mahomes haircut. Made sure he got that.
He really got the shaved sides and the bushy on the top. Oh my goodness.
I even got his glasses. This was a few months ago. We started giving him that cut. It's amazing. He's like, I think I'm throwing the ball better, Dad. And I'm like, okay, yeah. It's your mindset. It's your mindset.
Oh, there you go. Oh yeah. It's all about mindset.
So bonding him with over football and that, because I didn't grow up really into football. I didn't mind playing it with the neighborhood kids, but it was just not me. But then, if your kids want it, then it's okay. I guess I'm going to have to learn about it. Let's go.
That's great. And so, so the kids take a lot of your time for sure. And I'll just open up this discussion because, people are listening on here. You are a single dad. And so you're a single dad. You do have basically now the majority or full-time custody of your kids. And so, that's a lot of extra responsibility. And you went through a difficult period of time because you are a single dad, which means, you had to go through a divorce. And so owning your own business created the time that you may not have had if you were working for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple different ways we can go with this, but
well, you have a story to tell, but it's your story to tell, and it'll benefit somebody.
I will say we can start this out this way because I don't know if you remember it, but so ironically, it would have been the 2020 Softwash Palooza when it was Softwash Palooza.
Yep.
Right. It was Vision. Ironically, we didn't know what we were going into with COVID and everything like that.
Yes.
But you ended that. You shared what you went through in your 40s, right? Being a business owner to then a dishwasher because of, and then you
had a very dramatic, bad family business breakup. Yeah.
So, and you shared Jeremiah 29:11 and 12. And so, ironically, going into, because that kind of set the tone, in my opinion, of kind of what I was going to lead into in the beginning of 21. And so, ironically, this goes just for life, because you don't have to go through a divorce. You can go through a bad business breakup or whatever. But the way I look at it, it's, my worst day became my best day. And because it put things into perspective, because owning a business is great. Being an entrepreneur is great to a degree. You can kind of print money, so to speak. As hard as you want to work, you can get work.
Right.
But then it's like, okay, so now I'm printing money. What's the good of this? What's the point of this money?
Right.
Whereas, when that happened to me, it also allowed me to, because I think I called you up. I'm like, this is what I'm going through. I don't know what I got to do.
Right.
I was working 6-7 days a week, pretty much, to kind of take care of what I need to do as a family man. And then going through a divorce. Well, the point that I asked you, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to run a business and be a single father. And you're like, well, you know how you do it. No, that's what I'm asking you. And you're like, you just do it.
Yeah.
You just put it on the schedule. So if Marty gets off at 3, Marty gets off at 3.
Yeah.
And, relaying that to my team members, and for the most part, them respecting it. I mean, there's things that happen that I need to be involved in.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The crap hits the fan every now and then.
Yeah. And that's just life. But then I think when everything's on fire and you lose everything that you value. And you're like, okay, how can I get this back? How can I keep what's most important? Then everything seems very trivial. It puts everything in its proper perspective. And it's like, oh, well, pumps go out. A $300 pump will go out. Life moves on.
Right.
And, but then also having to be able to navigate the court system. And I mean, there's things that happen that I went through that if I had a normal job, I mean, I would have been fired long ago just because the amount of that I need to be timed off.
Right. It doesn't matter how good of a job you're doing. If you can't be at your job unless you got an incredibly understanding, employer, that they have to replace you because they have to move forward with their business, and you had to take a lot of time off.
Yeah. And I mean, and I would say definitely because I typically run the estimates, and I remember probably for the first month, I would have to cap 3 estimates, maybe 2 estimates a day, because I couldn't handle people emotionally. Like, it was just too much. Whereas if you just have some boss, they're like, okay, it's been a week, move on, production,
right?
But then to be able to adjust and kind of move forward, and now it's, I'm back in the game, so to speak. I can.
You made a comment. You said your worst day ever became your best day over. And that comes from what we call hindsight perspective. It probably didn't seem like that when you were having that worst day ever. But dig into that a little more. Tell us why your worst day ever became your best day ever.
Well, I think there's just a lot there. I walked away with basically the clothes on my back for a number of weeks, right? And I was my shop at the time was basically a glorified storage unit. There's no running water inside. I was sleeping on a camping cot that my buddy Jeremiah brought over. I had my sleeping bag, and any dirty clothes I had were a pillow. And I still have video of it on my phone because it's hilarious. My shop would flood if we had, a decent rain.
Right.
So all night I'm just and it's just, I got this river around the camping cot. So I'm getting up and I'm wading through water, and then I'd get up and I'd go to the gym. That's where I'd shower, shave, and work out, and not, at the time, probably not even work out, just like do some physical activity so I look like I belong there.
Right. Yeah. So if you weren't just a homeless person using the facilities, right?
Right. Well, but then that had its benefits because you get the endorphins. It gives you something to kind of focus on.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and then it helped me because I've always had a great relationship with my children. We've always had a close bond. But then, like, every parent. We can edit this out, but every parent for the most part is like, whatever you go through as a child, you're like, I don't want my kids to experience that.
That's right. Right.
So once your kids experience certain things, you're like, okay, how can I shield them?
Right. Yeah.
So to me, it's, our culture, I don't think really understands what it takes to be a man. And I think when men are men, it's intimidating. And so basically, I felt like I was a man, but then that pushed me to be more as a man because, you know, being a man, you take the hits for your
Right.
kids, for your family.
Yeah. That's where the
So it's
phrase
like,
manning up comes from.
right. And not, aimlessly just punching people in the face, even though
Right.
sometimes that may feel good. But,
Physical
but
therapy.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. But, knowing when to keep your mouth shut
Yeah.
and just taking the punches, taking the hits, taking, the arrows in the back. And then your kids are none the wiser at everything that's going on. And it's like, because divorce is not fun on anyone. And so
Yep.
it's like the least you want affected are the kids. And so to me, I think that made me a better person all around. And then, it put things in perspective, like what do I have, what I built up as a business owner. It filled me with more appreciation because those moments with your kids, the moments with your teammates, the moments of, a customer appreciating what you did for their home, it means more when all of it could have been destroyed. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I've been through it with my dad. You went through it with your wife. It gets really, really tough. And, and when we look back, we had our own, it takes two people to fight. We have to take ownership of our own things that we contributed to the mess that we created and everything else. But in the meantime, we want everybody to know on this and all that you and your ex-wife are fine now. And you guys have a working relationship and you have the kids in common and things are going well. But that took time to heal from that and work on getting things back on track and getting the kids back on track and figuring out this new normal that you're having to create in your family. And so your priorities really, 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 really change. And that goes back to when you said, "Hey, I'm in my 40s now. That's a season, you know." And in Ecclesiastes, King Solomon said, for everything in life there is a season. And then if you know the Yardbird song, you could probably, people are like, more people know Bible scripture than they think they know, because it's woven in things in popular society and all, and you don't realize it. But in everything in life, there is a season, a time to, time for joy, time to mourn, a time to reap, time to sow, all that kind of stuff. And so, we go through these seasons of our lives, and you're in this season of being dad, and, you probably can't be a business mogul and take over the world when you're trying to be dad. I mean, I'm a business mogul trying to take over the world because I'm an empty nester, but now AJ and Deirdre have little Alfie on the way. So I'm getting ready to go into granddad mode. I'm like, oh crap, my kind of period of time I had to take over the world is coming to a close because I have to go into granddad mode. There's that season now that, and you start to reassess the things that you're doing. But being an entrepreneur, like you said, it's like printing money. I can turn the business up. I can turn the business down. For us, it's, if you work for somebody, you have to ask for a raise or ask for a bonus. You can't just go, I want to put a pool on the back of the house this year, and just go out and work a little harder and, scrape up some extra money and just put a pool on the back of the house. If you work for somebody or have a job, when you're an entrepreneur, you have some options to you. And one of those options is, hey, listen, right now I'm in that season of life. I got my kids. I'm really focusing on that, and you got choked up because you're like, they saw some junk happen. And now we've got to mitigate that and, try to push out some of those bad memories with good memories and all that kind of stuff. And so, you have the ability to decide how much madness you want to have because you own the business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But with that said, I don't want to necessarily take over the world, but I do have my plans for Kansas. Um, so
yes.
yeah, so but yeah, and that's all thanks to softball systems, the 5-star retreat, the math, and my kids are involved. I mean, my daughter this summer when she's out of school, we threw rock flyers. That was our routine together. That because it would allow me to because I always tell my kids, this is how money comes into the business. It just doesn't come in magically. You got to go out and work for it. You got to advertise. You got to do a good job. That way you get referrals. So yeah, giving, my son is, like I said, 8, but he still has certain understanding to what he can. And I explain to him, how things happen. That way they have a appreciation and they don't just think things are just going to be handed to them. So, but yeah, we have our plans for our branches and things like that. So, but then with my situation, I have to rely on my team members more, on management. And that's also what I'm looking at is really strengthening, building up more of a management. I can't always do sales, especially if I want to expand. Not possible, not going to work. So just that is the missing link.
So you mentioned, you have plans for Kansas XYZ, thanks to the 5-star retreat and soft wash systems, and some of the vision that we've given you on that. Just spend just a couple minutes giving us the story of how you even found soft wash systems. What led you to soft wash systems? Because you could have started. Your heritage is window cleaning, so you were already window cleaning. You could have just kept going with your business and added different services, but at some point you found us and made a decision. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so with my background in window cleaning, I mean, me and Jeremiah are good friends, and then at one point we thought about adding
Jeremiah, who is just south of you in Salina, right?
Salina, yes.
Salina, tomato. But yeah, Salina. And in Kansas there. And the name of his company is?
Advantage Soft Wash.
Advantage Soft Wash, yes. And so you guys, are brothers. You guys are part of the same church movement. You guys have a relationship and everything else. But go ahead.
Yeah, so we went to the Huge in Nashville, huge convention in Nashville, I think in 2013. We were already seeing success with window cleaning. We had employees, and we're going to add this. And we thought we had received training. I mean, you just in downstream and X-jetting, you're limited. It's not really soft washing. Adding a larger orifice on a J-rod on a pressure washing really isn't soft washing. And it's nice to see the industry kind of recognize that. I've seen people.
Finally.
Finally. Yeah. So I think about a year or two washing houses, cleaning concrete, seeing the limitations, but then also dealing with the employees. Because unfortunately, window cleaners, and this hopefully no one gets offended by this, window cleaners at times may take an artisan approach. And so you have this, even their hand buckets, right? It's a witch's brew of concoctions, and they can only make it a certain way. And there's arguments on window cleaning forums. Is it Dawn? Is it Joy? Is it Palm? What soap is right? And you can't just put that mindset in an employee that's just clocking in, clocking out. And how do you teach that? And with any business owner that's starting something from the ground up, then it's on that business owner to come up with the systems, not just how to train with the tool work and the paperwork and understanding any legal things that are going on in your state.
Right.
And I just remember getting to a point of dealing with my friends and my friend group. We're all in the same our businesses were the same size. You can't really get answers
Mm-hmm.
and go forward if you're just dealing with just your peers.
Right.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
It's
so
the schooly bass mentality.
yes.
Yeah.
And so I at the time, man, I forget what year this was, but at the time, because we all, I mean, I think for the most part, depending on what business someone owns,
Mm-hmm.
you have an idea, a vision of what you want your company to look like. And I couldn't find a company to model, to mimic.
Right.
Like no one. And then I came across Brandon Vaughn when he owned All Clean.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this wrap truck and I'm like, okay. And I see this soft wash system skid. And at the time, truck skids were very rare.
Right. There was only one person building them in the entire world.
Yeah. And so I knew, because I would see you at conventions and things like that. And anyway, I'm like, nice, a soft wash systems company. Okay. And I think I private messaged him on LinkedIn. And I'm like, hey, so you're in soft wash systems. Is there course, the certified applicator course? That was the only thing that you offered at the time.
Right.
And I have the CDs. I have. So he's like, is it worth it? He goes, absolutely. It's great for onboarding. And that was the missing link. That's what I needed.
Right.
And so I bought that and I went through it. Not only was I learning the proper spraying techniques, the procedures, what equipment you actually needed to do to clean limestone, to clean siding, to do this. And then I went to a Discover Soft Wash in 2019 and actually had hands-on. You and Jim Prom were one of the instructors.
Mm-hmm.
So spending time with you, but also like going through that applicator course because I was still, just using an XJet or a downstream, buying the chemicals like the Terra Wash, learning what Terra did with bugs nests, cobwebs, and all those things. And as the technician side of me, then washing a house, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's the soap that I needed, as opposed to, because unfortunately, some in the industry, in the washing industry,
right,
go through soaps like it's the flavor of the month. They'll buy from that person, they'll buy from that one,
right.
And the soft wash system basically allowed me to, it's not just equipment, it's systems overall for every aspect of your business. So adopting the soft serve model, and it's only improved over the years with the online academy and having just checklists for everyone in your company, what they need to do on a daily basis. And why, as an entrepreneur, would you create more of a headache for yourself?
Yeah.
I think you say it, reinventing the wheel. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just take the wheel. It's already
just bolt it on. Yeah.
Yeah. Just go. Yep. And so, I have, again, that perspective, trying to wing it, trying to do it on my own, trying to come up with solutions, but then understanding the point of, okay, if you're not the smartest person in the room, get in another room and learn from them. And that's what joining Soft Wash Systems, being an affiliate company, allowed me to do. It allowed me to get the wheel that's already been made, bolted onto my company, and move forward.
Have you been looking for an investor-grade home service business opportunity? Softwash Systems is what you've been looking for. Come to Discover Softwash and discover your potential. Learn how we provide you with the equipment, chemicals, education, and support for your soft washing business. For more information about becoming a licensed affiliate, call our Shield support agents at 855-763-8669 or visit our website, www.softwashsystems.com/discover. Join the revolution. Join Softwash Systems.
Very cool. Great. Good discussion. Good discussion. So, what's next for you? You mentioned, you have plans for Kansas and everything. I mean, you're trying to build a lifestyle business. And that means different things to different people. What kind of net income do you want to have? What kind of schools you want to send your kids to? What kind of cars you want to drive? How much you want to be able to tithe or give to your church? All those types of things play into what do you want your lifestyle to be. But what's next for you? What's the 5-year, 10-year vision for you?
Well, within 5 years, I'm hoping to have at least 2 more branches in Kansas. And really follow the model as in just visiting those branches throughout the week. And allowing, as my kids get older, I mean, obviously, I have to start thinking about my daughter needing a car. So just little things like that. I have other areas of things I want to buy, like real estate. So having
when you get your daughter a car, it's a Mazda Miata with no back seat. Okay. with they make these cool mirrors now, that are rear view mirrors, but they record forwards and they record inside the cab and they record behind the vehicle, and you put one of those in,
Well, actually, so I was going to try to do something a little different,
a little more covert.
I was thinking more of an old farm truck, single cab, flatbed. Yeah. So you're safe from car accidents, but not a lot of people are going to be in that truck.
That's right.
You're not hiding out in the bed of that truck either. So
that's right.
So, yeah. So just, the next 5 years, just kind of enjoy, again, building a bigger team. We have plans this month. I mean, we're obviously going to add a second skid. So that's exciting, be able to do that. And, having the map that was laid out and understanding that there's things in life that happen that, okay, well, it throws it off a little bit. You can't get it exactly, but you just keep pushing along and keep working the system that's laid out and reaching your goal. But so, I don't know, definitely 5 years, having 2 branches. 10 years, I would love to, because then my kids are technically grown.
That's right. But, empty nester. Yeah.
I would love to kind of move to Wyoming, kind of enjoy that area. Cool. So
very, very good.
We'll see what 10 years does. So.
Well, cool. Well, listen, this has been a great discussion with you. And, you've just been a valuable part of the licensed affiliate group here at Softwash Systems. You've come down and taught Top Gun and participated and encouraged other people and been there for our Kansas crew there and helping all of them. And we have, I did Jeremiah last month, but we do have Alex Todd. Today I'm recording 4 episodes for release here in August. And so I do have Alex Todd as one of the interviews today for the podcast. And so that meant we've interviewed, I think, all 3 of the actual companies that we have in Kansas. And so that's exciting. And just really appreciate you, man. And you're doing a great job. And I remember those days when you were going through the struggle and calling me on the phone and all. And I love your vulnerability and your transparency. And I think you're going to do great things. And I just want you to know because I've seen and I've watched, you're a great dad.
Thank you. Thank you, AC. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for everything that you've done in hospitality and the love that you and Karen have shown me and my family. So we definitely appreciate it.
Very good. Cool, guys. So, hey, that's the podcast. And you guys can reach out to great people like Marty in our organization and talk to them. They'll help you out and all. And, if you're considering going into the soft washing business, getting into the exterior cleaning industry, please consider doing it with Softwash Systems. We're just going to save you a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, a lot of hours and time that you're going to try to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to reinvent it. You just need to bolt it on. We have everything soup to nuts that you need to run a successful exterior cleaning company like Marty's been able to do here. And hopefully you'll be able to, as I close all these out, go forth and prosper like Marty has. So Marty, thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys. And hey, guys, as always, go forth and prosper. And I'll see you guys at the next podcast.